You know, I still remember that night like it was yesterday. The air in that swanky penthouse overlooking the Manhattan skyline was buzzing with all that fake glamour, crystal chandeliers twinkling like they were trying too hard, and the smell of overpriced steak wafting through the room. There I was, Maya Thompson, the girl who clawed her way up from a tiny apartment in Harlem to building a tech empire worth billions, sitting at this long marble table surrounded by suits who thought they owned the world. And then bam! Right as the appetizers hit the plates, Victoria Langford, the Ice Queen CEO of that old money conglomerate, leans over, points her manicured finger straight at me, and spits out, "Why don't you go eat in the kitchen, girl?" Her voice dripping with that casual venom, like she was swatting a fly, but everyone knew what she really meant. The word black, hanging unspoken in the air, thick as the tension that followed. I froze for a split second. You know, that gut punch feeling where your heart drops and your mind races back through every boardroom slight, every whispered doubt about whether I belonged. In these circles growing up, I'd faced it all, from teachers who assumed I was on scholarship to bosses who credited my ideas to the white guy next to me. And here it was again, raw and unfiltered, in front of a room full of power players who'd pretend they didn't hear it. But something clicked inside me right then, not rage exactly, more like this quiet fire, fueled by years of proving myself twice as hard. And I thought, oh honey, you just lit the match. Victoria had always resented me, deep down. Her family built their fortune on gatekeeping, on deals that shut out folks like me, and my AI startup, rising so fast, it threatened her whole legacy, made her feel like the old guard was crumbling. And yeah, maybe a dash of jealousy over how I'd turned down her mentorship offers before, the ones that felt more like control grabs. Instead of exploding, I crossed my arms, leaned back in that velvet chair, and just smiled, that slow, knowing smile that says, "You have no idea what's coming." The room went dead silent, forks hovering midair, and my friend Jamal, who I'd brought as my +1, this sharp lawyer type with a knack for reading vibes, shot me a quick glance, his eyes widening like, "Are we doing this?" We were. While Victoria tried to laugh it off, waving her hand dismissively. "Oh, come on, Maya. I was just joking," lightening the mood, her voice cracking a bit, betraying that flicker of panic. I slipped my phone under the table and texted my team. "Pull the intel now." See, I'd done my homework before this dinner. Rumors about Victoria's shady practices had been swirling, discriminatory hiring, backroom deals that favored her cronies, and I'd quietly gathered the receipts, emails, recordings from whistleblowers who'd reached out to me over the years, all because they saw in me someone who wouldn't let it slide. The main course arrived, some fancy lobster thing that suddenly tasted like cardboard. The whispers started rippling around the table. One investor, this older guy named Harold, who'd always been neutral, cleared his throat and said, "Victoria, that was out of line." But she doubled down, her face flushing, snapping back. "Out of line? This is my house, my deal, $2.5 billion on the line here. And if she can't take a joke." Trailing off as she realized half the room was shifting uncomfortably, phones buzzing with incoming alerts. That's when I felt the shift, that delicious turn where the underdog starts calling the shots. Jamal leaned in close, murmuring, "You've got the leverage. Your company's tanking without your investment." And he was right, because my tech was the key to her expansion, the AI that could revolutionize her outdated systems. But now it was my weapon. I waited for the perfect moment, dessert plates clinking, wine glasses half empty, then stood up slowly, arms still crossed, and locked eyes with her across that endless table. "Watch me cancel $2.5 billion, I said, my voice steady, almost casual, like I was declining a coffee invite. But inside, my pulse was thundering, a mix of vindication and that old fear of pushing too far in a world that punishes black women for standing tall. Victoria's face drained of color, her mouth opening and closing like a fish. "What?" "You can tie a wouldn't dare," but I already had my phone out, live streaming to my followers, the ones who'd cheered my rise from nothing. And with a few taps, I notified my lawyers, pulled the funding wires, watched the real-time stock tickers on my screen start plummeting for her empire. The room erupted. Harold bolted up, yelling about breach of trust. Another guest, this young exec named Lisa, who'd confided in me earlier about Victoria's bullying, actually clapped, a sharp, solitary sound that echoed in. Victoria lunged forward, knocking over a wine glass that shattered like her composure, screaming, "This is sabotage. You'll regret this, you ungrateful." But it was too late. Social media was exploding. Hashtags like Penthouse Takedown trending as clips from my stream went viral. People sharing their own stories of boardroom bigotry, turning what was supposed to be her triumph into a public reckoning. I didn't gloat, not outwardly, anyway, but as security escorted her flailing protests away, I felt this wave of release, like shedding a skin I'd outgrown, knowing that redirecting those billions to startups run by folks from my community would build something real, something unbreakable. Jamal high-fived me discreetly, whispering, "That was epic." And even Harold pulled me aside later, admitting she had it coming, seen her pull that crap for years. Looking back, it changed everything. Victoria's company took a nosedive, board members jumping ship, and she ended up in some half-hearted apology tour that felt more like damage control than remorse. Last I heard, she's trying to rebuild, but the scars are there, a reminder that power isn't just about money. It's about who you lift up or tear down. Me? I hosted my own gathering a month later, in a Brooklyn loft filled with diverse voices, toasting to real progress. No kitchens in sight, just open doors. But here's the thing that keeps me up sometimes. Was I too harsh, playing judge and jury in that moment? Or was it exactly what justice looks like in a rigged game? Could she have learned without the fallout? Or does real change only come from hitting rock bottom? What do you think? Have you ever faced something like that, where standing up meant burning bridges? Or do you side with giving second chances? Drop your stories in the comments. Hit that like if this hit home, and subscribe for more real talk tales from the trenches. Let's keep the conversation going. Your voice matters here.